Star Wars and LucasArts set trends. They certainly didn't follow them. In the golden age of gaming, they changed gaming again and again with their excellent releases. Legos are little plastic blocks that allow one's creativity to flow. You mix the two together and what do you get? Well, you get a game changer.
LEGO Star Wars was released in 2005 by LucasArts and was developed by Traveler's Tales. At the time, no one had any clue just how big the LEGO series would get. LEGO had always been decently popular to this point, and there had even been some LEGO Star Wars sets released. But LEGO was still seen as a kid's hobby, and this was expressed in the various LEGO games released prior to this point. LEGO Star Wars put LEGO in a new light. Now it was cool to be a fan of LEGO, and Traveler's Tales did this by not dumbing down the gameplay for the lowest common denominator, and they stuck close to the films themselves. The graphics and gameplay were advanced to the point where it looked like you were playing as a little LEGO man. The levels were large and filled with secrets, and they were actual boss fights that were fun and difficult to master.
And I didn't play it, simply because it was based upon those scheisse prequel films that I disliked so much at that time. It would not be until 2006 that I would actually play a LEGO Star Wars game, because in that year, LEGO Star Wars 2, the real trilogy, was released. And I still remember the day my mother and I went to pick it up from a local Walmart. I spent 50 of my hard-earned dollars on that bloody game, and I certainly was not disappointed.
LEGO Star Wars 2, the original trilogy, has absolutely epic title art. It's a Legoized version of the classic Star Wars poster, although Princess Leia looks a bit more sassy here, and thankfully isn't clinging to her brother's Lego. The cover art perfectly encapsulates what this game is. Star Wars, but with a comedic tint to it. Gameplay is that of a fixed camera angle puzzle game.
That's easy for me to say.
The fixed camera angles are pretty good, but like with Resident Evil before it, you do run into some issues wherein you have to shoot off screen. But there are never any leaps of faith, and they will not get you killed, most of the time at least. The fixed camera angles facilitate the drop-in, drop-out co-op. This game is the epitome of local co-op, and is one of the best co-op games in general, as the game is generally set up for a second player, and the second player doesn't feel shoehorned in. And it is due to these fixed camera angles that this game is so good. You don't have to do split screen, and you can always see the entire screen at any one time, making for a much more enjoyable co-op experience. If you play the game single player, you will still have other LEGO men with you, usually up to 4. The AI for the LEGO men is rather good, and they generally go where they need to go and do what they need to do, and seldom walk into walls or stare off into space. You can switch between LEGO men by soul swapping.
Your soul is mine. Wait a minute. That's my own soul going into another body. Your body is mine. That still kind of came out wrong.
The Mos Eisley Cantina is the main hub for the game, and it is from here that you will access all the levels and interact with the bonus in-game unlockable content. It's quite amazing how much detail went into every aspect of this game, up to and including the doors!
You know your game is a legend when even the bloody doors are amazing!
Puzzles are the main focus for the game, and like with the previous game, these puzzles can get downright devious at times, even for seasoned players. This was a game that did not dumb itself down to be accessible for that coveted mass. This is a game that is a legitimate challenge, and will get the old bet computer ticking over in every level. There is some combat in the game, but it acts more as an obstacle that one must overcome, and is not the main draw of LEGO Star Wars 2. Each LEGO character will have different abilities, and each will need to be used to complete a given level.
One of the most notable aspects of LEGO Star Wars 2 is the fact that it is filled to the absolute brim with secrets.
Each level will have numerous secrets to find and unlock, and you cannot even find and unlock them all in the base story mode. Instead, you first must unlock each level and then use extra characters to access certain secret areas, thus encouraging repeated playthroughs. Like in the previous game, you have a few boss fights at the end of levels, and they generally are fought via puzzle-solving mechanics instead of mere combat. LEGO Star Wars also features vehicular combat, and it's fun, but not amazing, as the controls feel really floaty, but despite this, the levels are still fun and very impressive visually. Controls for the on-foot gameplay work rather well, and they can be mapped to just about any controller. For the purposes of this review, I am using a Logitech F310, and the controls feel very fluid and responsive, and you never find yourself getting killed due to them. Health is tracked by the old Nintendo standby, hearts. If you lose all your hearts, you die, but you don't have to reload a save.
This is the stud you're looking for. Not me, I mean, this.
The biggest draw by far is the studs. And I don't mean Arnie and the Expendables either. I mean these little circular Lego pieces. Growing up in the 1990s, I generally used them for headlights on my Lego vehicles and never thought much of them. But in this game, they have been turned into a mnemonic god. You gotta collect them all, and studs are found anywhere and everywhere in the game. From the local gentleman's club to the shooting range, potted plants, and various bits of the level architecture. So basically, you run around like a Lego Gordy Freeman, breaking and busting up all the things! All in search of that rippling ab-filled stud. The more studs you get, the more things you unlock, and the more endorphins your brain releases when you collect enough to get true Jedi.
And it pained me not to get all that sweet, athletic, greased up, plastic studs. Because as it is, I already got 7.5 hours of gameplay footage. If I tried to collect all of these, it would have been 17.5.
You can also use your studs to buy certain things in the store, such as characters and special items. Now, death is not just a mere trifle. If you get killed, you lose a good chunk of your studs. Yeah, you can pick them up again, but they fade fast. And most of the time, you cannot pick them all back up. Since you want to keep all your studs to get true Jedi, this makes the game really bloody difficult, as there are numerous enemies you do have to fight, and they generally keep spawning until you solve a puzzle, meaning that it is really bloody tough to get through a level with enough studs to achieve that coveted golden true Jedi. Overall, the gameplay is the logical refinement of the classic collectathon, and is something that to this day draws me in and makes me painstakingly search for every last bloody stud and item. The graphics for the game have hardly aged at all. The levels in Lego Men still look like they should, although the textures are not quite as sharp as they could be, and it's rather funny to see some of the levels that do not have Lego kits, as they clash with the blocky, cartoony aesthetic by being realistically rendered. Today, we are taking a look at the PC version of LEGO Star Wars 2, specifically the version found in LEGO Star Wars The Complete Collection. This is by far the most cost-effective way to play the game in 2019, and the port works quite well. I never had any crashes at desktop, and I didn't have to call up a fellow PC wizard to do a rain dance to get the game to work. You can swap between keyboard and mouse on the fly without changing any of the options, and overall, it is one of the best Star Wars PC ports.
LEGO Star Wars 2 also features a character creation tool.
Yes, indeed. You can create your own little Lego man, and there are numerous awesome little elements that you can customize. You will have to complete a given level, though, before you can actually use your custom dude. Music for the game is the classic SW Takedown Notice score, and it is mixed quite well. Like with LEGO Star Wars 1, LEGO Star Wars 2 does not have any voice acting whatsoever. Rather, all of the cutscenes are voiced in basic grunts that are actually quite hilarious and rather endearing. And, well, they are grunted quite well.
The story for LEGO Star Wars 2 is not just a rehash of the original trilogy, and is actually an engaging story in its own right.
The story more or less follows the films, but will generally make a number of jokes or change things to be more humorous. Now, since everything is done in pantomime, if you don't know what is already going on, you might be a bit lost. But Traveler's Tales has you covered. Before every single level, there is a text scroll that will go and explain just what is going on. That way you can actually be in on the joke. One of the best aspects of the plot for LEGO Star Wars 2 is the fact that there are a few better-than-canon moments. In Episode 4, you and Obi-Wan team up to take on some sand people, and in the Mos Eisley mission, you can actually build a bloody AT-ST from random bricks and go on a massive rampage! Episode 5 has an epic moment where Luke and Yoda team up to take on a spectral version of Darth Vader.
But by far, the best better-than-canon moment is... Are Luke and Vader teaming up to take down Imperator Nero Augustus Palpatine? Holy crap, they are! This is the best version of Return of the Jedi ever!
Yes, Lucas Skywalker and Dark Vador team up to take down the big Papa Palps, and it is glorious! He is a canny foe, and the entire time you'll be saying, "Holy crap, this is the greatest game ever!" LEGO Star Wars was immensely successful, and its success created a genre in and of itself. The LEGO fight genre owes its entire existence to LEGO Star Wars 1 and 2. Without those two games, we wouldn't have LEGO Batman or Indiana Jones, and we wouldn't have the surprisingly good LEGO movie. This is a game that came from a time when Star Wars and LucasArts were at the forefront of innovation, and the sky seemed to be no limit at all.
Needless to say, ladies and gentlemen, LEGO Star Wars 2 is a legendary game. It has great story, it has great gameplay, and it has endless replayability. The co-op is second to none and is extraordinarily fun. If you have not experienced the transcendent joy that is LEGO Star Wars 2, I highly recommend picking up the version on GOG. And so, I am GeneralLotz, wishing you good Star Wars Bounty Hunter, and good Episode 3 Revenge of the Sith, whatever makes you happy.
If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing, and if you can, please consider supporting me on Patreon so that I can continue bringing you this awesome content.